You my bitch.
It's Broadway Comedy Club Radio, the only podcast that's also a comedy club, with your clearly above average hosts, Al Martin and Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to Broadway Comedy Club Radio. I'm your host, Clayton Fletcher, here in New York City. I'm joined, as always, by my dear friend and the owner of Broadway Comedy Club. You know him, you love him. He's the author of the amazing new book called Did It on a Dare, my buddy, Al Martin. Al, how you been, man?
Thank you, Clayton. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. It's going to be a great show. I'm so looking forward to this show, Clayton. It's going to be...
We've been trying to set this up for a little while, right, Al? We've got a powerhouse comedian. He's also an incredibly talented actor. And he told us before we started recording that this is actually his first ever Zoom interview. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see a man who is actually doing his first ever Zoom interview. I think that's pretty cool. Please welcome our first time guest, Angel Salazar. Yeah.
I'm going to do my line that I do when I do Al Martin show at the Broadway. My introduction, I go, check it out. Check it out. How you guys doing?
That's Angel Salazar's most famous line. Check it out, right?
Check it out. Yes, yes.
What an incredible career you have had, man. I mean, we both actually share a similar background, as we're both Cuban Americans, right? And you have really you prove what it is to come to America, work hard, do your thing, and what an incredible, I mean, the list of movies this man has done, folks. One of my favorites, and I watched it again the other night, Carlito's Way, Scarface. I didn't even know you were born in 1983, Angel, but Scarface you did. You did Punchline with Tom Hanks, which had a great cast of stand-up comics in that movie. And then the list just goes on and on and on, man. What a legacy you've left as an actor.
Yeah, no, it was fun. You know, it was fun, like coming to a country where you don't speak the language. And I put on my glasses because in my hat to keep my bad boy gangster image, even though it's snowing right now.
So how does a pink flamingo fit in with the bad boy image?
I know. I thought about this. This is the shirt I sleep with, and I said, how can I incorporate this in the interview? Remember when Al Pacino in Scarface is in the jacuzzi?
Yes.
And he's watching flamingo flying, but he's saying they are pelicans. And he go, fly pelicans, pelican fly.
That's right. So, I set this whole thing up. I set it up.
Yeah.
I made them up. I made the connections. You whore. Go ahead. Go run away from me, right?
Yeah, man. You remember all the lines.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie. That was one of my favorites. I mean, the three big ones that I see here have all been favorites of mine for years. I got to watch Punchline again. I haven't watched it in a while.
Oh, Punchline. Punchline, you as a club owner will find it funny that the comedians have lockers in downstairs in the basement. They have lockers like in school.
But the amount of comedians that did that show, that green room or that back area there in between scenes must have been just one joke after another, or you were all stabbing each other in the back. I don't know, but
well, lot of comedians became famous from there. You know, like
I think Damon Wayans was in that movie too, wasn't he?
Damon Wayans, George Wallace. Let me see. God, Taylor Negron. Remember Taylor Negron?
Oh, I loved it. He was in Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield. He was incredible. Remember that scene he did? Can I call you Dad?
Yeah. What was that? Betsy's Wedding? The movie? What was the name of it?
That movie was Easy Money. He did Taylor Negron. He played the son-in-law that Rodney
right.
Dangerfield hated in Easy Money.
Yeah, right.
Can I
So,
call you Dad?
yeah. So a lot of comedians from those days, they were they were uh, they were in that movie, yeah, and they became famous later on.
Right. Where are you going right now while we're on the air?
I'm going to where the light is.
Oh, okay, cool.
Where the
Gotcha.
light is, because it's very hard. Where I was, and somebody was talking, and he's very loud, and I can hear him.
So, Angel, you came here. What year did you come to USA?
74.
74. And then, so how did you get hooked into the whole movie career? I mean, it's an unusual thing for someone to come from another country and go, "Oh, I'm going to be a movie star."
Well,
so how did you do that?
Since I was little, a small boy in Cuba, movies, American movies, were a fantasy to a little kid in a small town. So I always wanted to be an actor since I was little, and I got inspired by American movies, and I like film with the Cowboys movie, the Tarzan movie, and most of it I like movies with Marlon Brando. And I said, you know what? When I get to America, I'm going to go to acting school, and I'm going to pursue that, and that's what I did.
And it's less than 6 degrees of separation that a little kid in Cuba went on to come to America to work with one of the greatest actors of our time, Al Pacino, who actually appeared in Marlon Brando's probably one of his more famous movies, The Godfather.
Yeah, correct.
So an incredible connection there.
No
Now,
kidding.
Angel, when you made the move to the U.S., did you come straight to New York and study acting here?
I'm sorry, the people downstairs so goddamn loud, I can't hear shit. Hold on.
I just wanted to hear about the early days, like when you first arrived in America. Did you come straight to New York and go to acting school here?
Yeah, no. I mean, I went to, I did high school in California, and in high school and junior college, I did plays on stage. You know, I did West Side Story, the musical. I played Chino, the guys that killed Tony. I did a Woody Allen play. You know, I was trained like a stage actor. Then when I moved to New York, I went to Lee Strasberg acting school. Lee Strasberg.
Yeah, Lee Strasberg's, for those who don't know, it's one of the best, most reputable acting schools in the world, and it's right here in Manhattan. So, yeah. So, and then from there, how did you get your first break? I'm sure people will be interested in how does a guy who barely can speak English and is studying acting, how do you end up getting a part in your first big break?
Well, I did a few movies in California, in the early 80s, late 70s. Remember when the movies The Warriors came out? The Warriors?
Yes.
Okay.
When the Warriors were trying to get from the Bronx to Coney Island, or from Coney Island to the Bronx, right?
Yes. And in those days, they were doing a lot of gangs. So the Warriors was in New York, and we did in California about Mexican gang called Boulevard Nights.
Right, 1979 you did that movie.
Yeah, Boulevard Nights, correct. And then I did another gang movie with a white boy with blue eyes who played a Mexican named Robbie Benson.
Wow. Robbie Benson was like the teen heartthrob of when I was growing up for all the gals. They all loved him.
Yeah, remember those magazines, like 16 magazine with the where the pretty boys is in the cover, Tiger magazine.
Right. Whatever happened to Robbie Benson? I think he became a producer, right? Like a producer, director,
and a director himself.
Right. So, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I did a movie with him called Walk Proud, and he's playing a gang member, right? So they did a private screening to a bunch of Mexican kids, real Mexican kids in East LA, right, to see how the movie is going to fly. And when Robbie Benson said to the girl, "You don't like me because I'm Chicano," the audience started laughing. And they
Because he can't pass for Chicano.
no,
right?
and the
He's
movie
the
did
whitest
not
guy
get
you know, right?
yeah, did not get theatrical release because of that.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, and then from there, I did a movie with a guy that you know. I'm sure you know him because he's a legend. I did a movie with Bill Murray called "Where the Buffalo Roam" about
Right.
Hunter Thompson. Hunter Thompson, you know who he is?
Sure. Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes.
Hunter Thompson, the writer from the Rolling Stone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we did a movie called "With the Buffalo Roam" a couple years ago. Johnny Depp did Live in Las Vegas or something in Las Vegas about Hunter Thompson also.
Ah, okay.
So we did the original in the 80s. This is before Scarface. And then my big break, Scarface, of course, I'm doing a play in California. I'm doing a play, and my actor friend from New York called me. They said, "You better get here. They're casting a movie about Cubans, criminal Cubans." And I said, and I started getting impatient, and I said to the director, "I'm worried. I'm not going to make the audition." He said, "Angel, relax. I got this covered. I got it under control." Well, his girlfriend, it was a well-known actress on Broadway, and she hooked me up with an agent, and the agent submitted me for Scarface, and I flew back to New York to audition.
That was you were great in that role. You were great in that movie. That chainsaw scene in South Beach, when you were kind of busy in the car with the pretty girl, right? And
Yeah.
while the other guys are getting his werewolves cut off over there, but just a lot of the scenes there were great.
Yeah, no, and that's a famous line out that is famous right now. Chichi, get the yayo.
Yeah, that's
Chichi.
now become legendary, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who knows you goes, Chi, where's the yayo?
Yeah, and a lot of rappers, hip hop artists have done songs about with the title Chichi get the yayo.
And then the end of that your end in that movie was so sad. You were trying to get back in the office, and he wouldn't let you in because he was so stoned. And
Right.
Pow.
And I get people, fans, who say, Chichi, if Tony Montana have opened the door for you, you guys would have made it. You would have survived. I go, are you kidding? There was like 500 Colombians after us.
Right. They were all over that. They were all over that compound. And it was amazing how a guy, I mean, of course, this is all a movie, but there are actors, there are real life people sometimes like this that all he had to do was assassinate that guy and he would have been off the hook on everything. But, earlier in the movie when he had to kill the guy, but then the guy's little girl daughter got in the car. And, right. Tony Montana, a stone cold killer, doesn't want to go through with the execution because he doesn't want to kill the little girl. And that eventually spelled his demise in the movie.
Yeah. He was a criminal, but he had morals. He didn't want to kill a wife and kids.
Right. Now, were you in any of the scenes? I can't remember now. Were you in any of the actual scenes with Michelle Pfeiffer, or that was all shot separately?
No, that was separate. No, I was not.
Too bad, man. She was hot in those days.
Yeah.
Now, did you develop any kind of relationship with Al Pacino? Because you wound up doing a couple other movies with him, right, down the road?
Right. Yeah. You know what? I didn't take advantage of that relationship, but I should have. But we came close during filming, and I went to his house, to a party in his house. We hang out on a time off on weekends when we were not filming at a restaurant, things like that. Yeah. And remember he does plays on Broadway once in a while. Remember, like the last one he did was China Doll.
I saw that play actually. It was great.
Well, he's playing it's one man show, wasn't it? Just him alone. So I went backstage to say hi to him.
That must have been cool, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, is there anybody from those movies you wound up actually keeping in touch with? I think the guy who played his assistant, right? I've seen you on some photos with him. The guy who was Al Pacino's partner in Scarface when they came out of Cuba.
The guy who's playing Manolo. Yeah,
Yeah,
his name
the
is
real
Stephen Bauer.
good-looking guy who wound up getting married to Tony Montana's sister.
Yeah, exactly. Well, me and him are great friends. We were friends here before Scarface. We were friends before,
Right.
and we were actually the only Cubans in the movie.
Oh, he was Cuban too?
Yes.
Wow, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So then you had this run of great movies, which I guess really got your stand-up career going, right?
Yes. At the beginning, I was start doing comedy around the same time that I auditioned for Scarface, but I didn't want to tell them I was a comedian.
Right.
But until I got the part. Once I got the part, it was like a party time, like a field day, telling jokes.
Right, but then in 88, you probably wanted to let them know you were a comedian for Punchline, right?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Of course, yeah. And and I don't know which one became first, Punchline or the Wildlife. You ever see the Wildlife?
The Wildlife came first in 1984. Punchline was in 88.
With Christopher Penn, the Wildlife, Christopher Penn.
Right, I didn't see that movie, but
Yeah.
that was in 84.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's a cult film also, like cult film, like a fast. It was done by the same people that did Fast Time at Richmond Heights.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
yeah.
the movie, you're not gonna believe how I got a part in the Wildlife, which is a good part too. It's a big part. Eric Schwartz was in it too. Eric Schwartz from The Mask.
Oh yeah, okay. Eric
Yeah.
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz, yeah. Eric
Right.
Stoltz was in it, and a few actors that became bigger later on. But
He became a big producer. He produces a lot of stuff now.
Who? Eric Stoltz?
Yeah, he's a director and a producer.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, he better hire me for something.
It's all about the contacts, buddy. You gotta reach out to these guys that you worked with in the early years. You never know what they're working on, that they might need a character just as yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Like right now, I just saw last night on the Jimmy Fallon show, Kelly Ripa from the morning show.
Right.
Ripa and Ryan Secrets. They have a. Remember when Kelly, not Kelly, there was a morning show. Richard.
Kelly and the football player, right? Michael Strahan.
Yeah, and now he got replaced by Ryan Secrets.
Right.
But anyway, his wife was last night on Jimmy Fallon, and she's producing a show on the Oxygen channel called Exhume. It's a murder mystery show.
Right. I've seen an episode or two of that.
Exhume. And her husband, Mark Consuelo, is a good friend of mine. So I got to reach out to them.
Right. Now, if this pandemic keeps going, they might have to exhume Al Martin's career in comedy. I might have to be on one of those episodes.
Yeah. But let's talk about you. Enough talking about me. Al, what I like about you, man, is that, remember when you used to have the small club, let's say little club in 22nd Street in the East Side, 2nd Avenue?
Yes, I remember. Of course.
Was it called New York Comedy Club, right?
New York Comedy Club, correct.
And then, I don't know how many years ago, you moved to Times Square, to the heart of Broadway, to Times Square, and you're competing like against all these giants like Caroline's and all these clubs.
And Laugh Factory, when I first opened in 2003, Jamie Masada opened up the Laugh Factory on 8th and 42nd at the same time. And I'll never forget, are you still with Roger?
Yes.
Your manager, Roger Paul, came over to me on opening night, and he said to me, Al, you are aware that Jamie is opening, 8 blocks away from you. And I said, so? He goes, I don't know if you're going to make it here. Jamie is gone and I'm here.
I know. He didn't last in that area too long. He didn't last long.
Do you know the inside story, Angel, on why he left that location?
Well, what I heard is that used to be a hooker, drug dealers, and pimps area. Matter of fact, the place where he opened the club was called the something world something about sex.
Yes, it was. I think it was Sex World. I think it was called
Peep World.
Oh yeah, Peep World. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of customers didn't want to go there. But tell me the inside story that I don't know. What's the inside story?
Okay. Well, the inside story was the guy who operated this was on all the newspapers, I think, at the time. But the guy who owned the complex, the porn place, was a guy named, last name was Bassiano. And he was an older guy. He just died a year or two ago, like at the age of 95. He just liked the entertainment business. But it turns out he had a relative called Gorgeous Vinny Bassiano. So, who was very high ranking in one of the crime families in New York.
I heard
allegedly. Yeah. So what happened was this guy Bassiano and Masada got into a dispute about, I guess, money and stuff. And then, Masada started getting a little mouthy with the guy. And then in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, Masada pulled up stakes, left New York, and I don't believe he's been back since. Apparently, it was all over. You could Google this. But apparently, Bassiano's relative, Gorgeous Vinny, intervened in this situation. And Masada decided to go bye-bye. And just left New York literally in the middle of the night, he left New York.
Now, I heard that the finance backer, the money for that club came from David Letterman.
No, I think the backing for that club, the club, here's what the inside story is, basically, that New York in those days, and might still today, have a rule called the 60-40 rule, which means that if you want to operate a porn place in a certain area that's not zoned for it, 60% of the space has to be used for non-pornography stuff. So basically what he did was he downsized the porn stuff to occupy 40% of his space, and he had to find uses for the other 60%. So along comes Jamie Masada, and he goes, "Hey, you want to go in together on a comedy club?" And Masada said, "Sure." And that they wound up cutting a deal where Jamie Masada gave his name, the Laugh Factory, to this space. And then he wound up getting, put up this gorgeous sign over there and everything, called it the Laugh Factory. They were, successful for a while. Then I don't know what happened. The business was off. What might have happened 2008 when we had the Great Recession might have happened, I think, at the time. And they got into an argument, and then Masada left in the middle of the night. And, was not to be seen in New York. I'm trying to Google this thing.
Well, while you do, Al, many years ago, there was also another comedy club called Gramercy Comedy Club that was part of this 60-40 idea. It was actually a strip club, a gigantic strip club on I want to say 21st Street, somewhere around there. And because of the 60-40 law, they had to turn at least roughly half their space into a non-pornographic, non-sex related business. So the guy split his strip club in half, and he still owned the strip club, but now he also had Gramercy Comedy Club. And one thing he could do is pay the comedians way more than we were making at any of the other clubs around town, because he had a strip club business, which was actually making money, a lot more money than a comedy club would. And also another thing that would happen is at the end of your set, when it was time for you to go home, you would get your pay, and he would also give you free tickets to go get drinks and lap dances at the strip club next door.
No wonder I couldn't get any comics back then working my place. All they had was Me paying them and looking at Fat Al. I mean, what, what's the choice? I found the article. I pulled it up, and it's only a paragraph, so I'll read it to you. Laugh Factory owner Jamie Masada has filed suit against his Times Square business partner, Show World owner Richard Bassiano, claiming that he has been shaken down by the mob-connected adult theater owner. Masada alleges to have been threatened with a gun, coerced into contracts, and even says the club was told that somebody could be killed if a certain comedian was booked again. That wasn't you, right?
No, it wasn't me, no.
Okay. The suit pits the new cleaned up Times Square against its seedier past. Bassiano has Gambino crime family associates and is the brother of Bonanno crime family boss Vinny Gorgeous Bassiano. Masada, on the other hand, was personally asked to bring the Laugh Factory to New York by former Mayor Rudy Giuliani in the wake of 9/11. Masada said when he agreed to bring the club into Times Square in 2003. So not only did Masada pick a fight with a guy in the porn industry, his brother was one of the leaders of the Gambino crime family after Gotti left. The same family as John Gotti.
Wow, what an interesting story.
Yes, I'll never forget. It was a Sunday morning. I was in my back porch having a nice cup of coffee and relaxing with a cigar. And all of a sudden, I read this story. I almost fell out of my chair. I said, what the hell?
And your club on 54, 53rd was already open? On 56?
Yes, we were already open. We opened up as the Improv, if you remember. And then a whole separate story. We wound up in a lawsuit and couldn't keep the name anymore because Silver Friedman screwed up something and we had to lose the name. And then that's how it became Broadway Comedy Club. And I'll tell you forever, it was the greatest thing that happened to me. At the time, I didn't think so. But as the years went on, it was the best thing that happened.
I think it's a better name for the club anyway.
Yeah, it's a better name, and I don't have to pay a licensing fee, and it's great. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, you and I worked together as comics also. I remember we did a gig in Staten Island together, correct?
Correct, yes.
Isn't that funny? Comics can't remember almost anything from like 5 minutes ago, but they can always remember a gig they did somewhere with somebody.
I know. And before me and you and I working in Staten Island, you opened for Bobby Collins.
That's right. I mean, you've done you had the audience dying that night on stage. I mean, to be able to do that headlining thing in the same markets over, because you get rebooked and you get rebooked and you get rebooked.
Yeah.
And people see you and they still love what you do on stage.
Right. Yeah, because you know what? A lot of my act is audience participation also.
Right.
And they like to see what I'm gonna do next. The suspense.
And the big boom box. You made an impression on my wife because every time she hears your name, she goes, "Wasn't he standing on the stage naked at some point?"
Wow. So Jimmy Masala left New York.
Yes.
Oh, what's the name of your co-host? I forgot.
Clayton.
Clayton was talking about a strip joint just now. I think the strip joint was called Stream Fellas. Stream Fellas?
Gramercy, yeah, String Fellas, yeah.
Clayton.
I'll take your word for it, Angel.
Say,
I'll take your word for it.
No, because I remember, like you said, it was divided in two spaces, strip joint and comedy club.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, and I did a show there. So I will never forget that night because somebody come up to me and say, "Angel, David Lee Roth from Van Halen is next door at the strip joint." And I know David from when I opened for them Van Halen in Los Angeles. So I go there and I'm at David said, "Hey, Angel, see with us, blah, blah, blah." I'm sitting at the table with David Lee Roth And stripper, instead of asking me, would you like a lap dance? She just sat on my on my legs, and she said, "Okay, you owe me $20." And I said, "Well, I don't have $20." And David Lee
So,
Ross said, "Okay, and you take care of it." He ended up paying the stripper the $20
so
for the
Angel,
lap
let's
dance.
fast forward to 2000 and I can't even remember where we're at. 2020, 21. What are you up to? And anything you need to tell us about coming up?
Yeah, well, I'm working right now in independent movie. Also, you know what independent movies are, right now? And
Yes,
Clayton, those
absolutely.
those are called independent movies. Also called movies that don't pay.
Movies that don't pay, movies with no budget, right? Yeah,
Like
independent.
this podcast.
Yeah, they are so low budget that they don't have a budget. So
Don't you almost see the setup coming when they talk to you, right? Like they say, "Oh, we'd love to really have you. You're so talented,
Great
yeah,
exposure.
great
what is it? What,
exposure."
Clayton? What is it?
Yeah, it's always great exposure. That's what they tell you.
Oh
It'll be
yeah,
no money, but a lot of exposure for you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I'm doing one right now called The Duke of New York, independent movie, and we've been shooting a lot of exterior, and it's been freaking cold. But the movie's coming along good, I think it's gonna be good. And I'm also working in a couple other independent uh, uh, TV series pilot right now called K-Town. K-Town, we're doing it in New Jersey, and I'm putting together a show with a guy that worked for Al as well, named Jose D'Onofrio, right? Jose D'Onofrio,
Absolutely, absolutely. Joe's been a guest on this show.
yeah, from Jose D'Onofrio from Goodfellas and a Bronx Tale. So
Absolutely, great actor.
so a couple years ago, I had an idea for a show between me and Charlie Sheen called the Yayo Duo. Yayo, like cocaine, Duo, T-O-U-R, the Yayo Duo. But
Right.
he didn't want it. His manager said that he's out of the scene. He's not doing anything with drugs. But the show's not glorifying drugs. Just talking about the nightmare of the era. The cocaine scene. And it's called the Yeye Tour. So I'm putting it together with Joe D'Onofrio, comedy show, two-man show.
That
sounds
so
great. Well, I can
you're
tell
a busy
you,
man. Still,
yeah, and an absolute powerhouse. I mean, I had the honor of opening for Angel a few times, once in Kansas City, and he was he leaves people devastated. The effect that this man has on an audience, and the fact that his show does change every night. There's a lot of improvisation, a lot of audience participation, and my hope is that someday soon we will have live comedy in New York, and we can get Angel back on the stage here at Broadway Comedy Club, because he is one of the best, and it's an honor to.
I would love that.
Clayton, we
your
worked
first
together at
interview.
the Looney Bin. What's the
Yes.
name?
Yeah, I
We
think
worked
so.
at the Looney Bin.
The Looney Bin, right?
Yeah.
In Kansas City.
No, in Kansas City, I think it was the Improv, but it might have been the Louis Ben. This was many years ago. But I would just tell you, this man, unbelievable.
Oh, thank you, Clay.
So,
Clayton,
yeah.
thank you. So anyway, so the way I'm going to advertise our show with me and Jose D'Onofrio is Scarface meets a Bronx Tale.
I love it. Scarface meets the Bronx
Unbelievable.
Tale. I think a lot of people would love to come and see you guys. And, we just really appreciate your coming on and doing your first Zoom interview with us. Angel, is there anything else you want people to know before we have to say goodbye?
Yeah, just want to say that you guys got this. What you guys doing right now is a professional operation, not like the Mickey Mouse radio show that I did with Christy Miller, and I was my guest. Was our guest in New York. We had me and Christy Miller had a show like you guys, right?
That's right. They had 10 of us in a room. Like, God forbid, thank God there was no COVID back then. I thought we would all have died in that little tiny room.
But anyway, so get this, Clayton, here comes the best part. They say that was a professional show that's going to be recorded and it's going to be air again and again, right?
Right.
But guess what? there was no tape. They didn't tape it, the show. And it was one of the greatest interview ever.
And they didn't
Yeah.
That's
record
right.
it.
It was hysterical.
It
And
was
they
great.
didn't even record it.
We were talking
Unbelievable.
about the controversial thing that happened to the comedian that used to be the host of the comic strip, William Stephenson.
Right.
Remember when he got banned from the comic strip because he called this woman the C word,
Right. I remember
Yeah,
that.
he used the C word. Yeah.
and he got kicked out from the comic strip. So Al was our guest, and me and Christy Miller and Al and I believe it was George, the other
George Diaz.
George Diaz was there, and a bunch of people, and it was a great time, great show, but it was not recorded.
Oh, that's terrible.
Disgrazia.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to say,
Yeah.
hey Clayton, I heard that you're a good poker player.
Yeah, I can play some cards a little bit.
Wow,
You want to get
Hey.
a game started?
wow.
That's for another episode.
That's for another episode. Hey, yo,
Yeah.
you play poker too? You play poker?
I love
yeah.
right after we shoot this, I'm going to go play some poker at the casino here in Florida.
Oh, great, man, great. Well, listen, when is the comedy go back on business? When are we gonna go back to Club Broadway?
You know, Angel, if you take the president at his word, you know, that will be, he's hoping to vaccinate 1 million people a day. So by my math, that's 180 million doses in 6 months, which is only 90 million people, a third of our population. So unless they start speeding things up, I don't see a rapid reopening till the summer or September, something like that. But who knows? You know, maybe they speed it up. Maybe they start letting Walgreens and CVS and Publix administer the vaccines. They'll be a hell of a lot quicker than waiting for some of these idiots like Cuomo and de Blasio to come up with an action plan.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, don't get Al started on the politicians. That's also an episode for another day. Al, do you have any parting words before we have to wrap it up today?
Well, this has been an awesome guest. I love Angel. I've always been a big fan. You can get my book on Amazon, as always. I did it on a dare, How I Built the Comedy Empire in 30 Short Years. Also, check out on Facebook my Fat Food Reviews. Of course, Broadway Comedy Club Radio and my comedy clubs, Broadway and Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
Angel, we really appreciate you coming on. Do you have anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Yes. If you guys can saw Scarface already and the punchline, and you want to see me in a movie you never seen me before, watch the movie Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
Gone with the Wind. I was a baby.
You were a baby and Gone with the Wind. Okay.
Yeah, I was a baby. Anyway, love you guys, man. Thank you so much.
We love you, Angel.
Bye-bye, Angel.
So for
Okay.
Angel Salazar, for my amazing co-host Al Martin, and for our terrific producer Jade Frank, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you all so much for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I just like your bitch.
Hi, Al Martin here, owner of the Broadway Comedy Club and Greenwich Village Comedy Club in New York City. And I just authored a great book on stand-up comedy and my 30-year journey called Did It on a Dare, How I Built a Comedy Empire in 30 Short Years. So if you want an interesting story on the comedy scene in the 90s and early 2000s up until the present, if you're an aspiring comic and want to learn about some of my golden rules of comedy from a comedy club owner, this is the book for you. It's available on Amazon, and just go to Amazon, click Al Martin, and it'll take you right to my page. It's available on audio and Kindle, as well as paperback. Thank you.